Today, I want to talk to you about something that affects nearly all of us at some point in our lives. It's called hypertension, or high blood pressure. Doctors sometimes call it the silent killer, and that name isn't dramatic, it's the truth. Most people who have it feel completely fine until one day something serious happens: a heart attack, a stroke, a problem they never saw coming. But the good news is, you don't have to wait for that moment. There are proven, natural ways to bring your blood pressure down without medication, and I want to walk you through them today. These are the same strategies our doctors give to our patients, and they work. Before we dive into how to fix it, let's start with what's actually happening inside your body. For your blood to move through your body, it has to push against the walls of your blood vessels, just like water flowing through a pipe. That force is what we call blood pressure. And it's not constant, it changes every time your heart beats. When your heart contracts and pumps blood out, that's when your pressure is at its highest. That's the systolic pressure, the top number on a blood pressure reading. Then, when your heart relaxes between beats, the pressure drops. That's your diastolic pressure, the bottom number. Ideally, your blood pressure rises and falls smoothly, but when those numbers stay high, even when you're resting, your arteries start to take the damage. Over time, high pressure wears down the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, making them stiff and narrow. And once that happens, the risk of heart attack or stroke skyrockets. In fact, about half of all heart attacks and strokes can be traced back to high blood pressure. Yes, half. Now that you understand what's going on inside, let's talk about what you can do, naturally, to bring those numbers down. Let's start with the biggest one, your diet. What you eat plays a massive role in your blood pressure, and one eating pattern has consistently shown powerful results: the DASH diet. DASH stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. It's not some trendy detox, it's just balanced, evidence-based eating: more whole foods, lean proteins, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and less salt, sugar, and processed food. Studies show this diet can lower blood pressure by about 5 to 6 points, a major drop for something so simple. But there's one part of the DASH approach that's especially important: reducing sodium. I know salt has become a controversial topic recently. Some say it's harmless, others say it's deadly. But the science is clear. If your blood pressure is high and you want to fix it naturally, cutting back on sodium matters a lot. The goal is to keep your sodium intake under 2 grams per day. That's less than 1 teaspoon of salt in total. Now, here's where most people go wrong. They focus on the salt shaker, thinking that's where the problem lies. But believe it or not, the salt you add at home usually makes up only a small part of what you consume. Roughly 80% of our daily sodium comes from processed and restaurant foods. That means even a healthy-looking meal can be secretly loaded with salt. Take something like a Mediterranean bowl from a restaurant. It might look clean and fresh, maybe even something I'd order myself. But one serving can easily contain more sodium than you should eat in an entire day. To understand how powerful sodium reduction can be, let me share an incredible real-world example. A few decades ago, Finland had one of the highest rates of heart disease in the world. Their government decided to tackle it by introducing warning labels on high-salt foods and promoting low-sodium, high-potassium options. Even fast food chains got involved. McDonald's was pressured to create a low-sodium hamburger. And the results were shocking. Over the next few decades, average sodium intake dropped by about 30%, and average systolic blood pressure dropped by 10 points. But the truly amazing part was that deaths from heart attack and stroke fell by 80%, and life expectancy increased by several years for both men and women, just from lowering salt. Now, let's move from food to movement. Exercise is one of the most effective natural ways to lower blood pressure. For years, the common advice was that cardio, running, cycling, swimming, was the gold standard. But newer research shows something surprising. Other forms of exercise might be even more powerful. A large analysis published in the BMJ in 2023 looked at over 270 trials to compare different kinds of exercise. And the clear winner wasn't what you'd expect. It was isometric training. That means static exercises like wall sits and planks, where your muscles stay contracted without moving. These exercises lowered systolic blood pressure by as much as 8 points on average. Now, if you're one of those people who loves doing planks, great, you're ahead of the game. But if not, don't worry. The same research showed that any regular exercise helps, whether it's high-intensity workouts, light cardio, or strength training. The key is consistency. Move your body in whatever way you can and do it often. If you're eating well and exercising regularly, something else tends to happen naturally. You lose weight. And even modest weight loss makes a measurable difference. For every 1 kilogram, about 2.2 pounds, you lose, your blood pressure drops roughly by 1 point. That means small, steady progress can make a big difference. Now, let's talk about alcohol and smoking. Alcohol might seem harmless, even relaxing, but beyond 1 or 2 drinks a day, it can actually raise your blood pressure. It disrupts hormone balance, affects your liver, and puts extra strain on your cardiovascular system. Smoking, on the other hand, is one of the most damaging things you can do to your blood vessels. Nicotine not only raises your blood pressure immediately, but it also stiffens your arteries over time and harms the inner lining that keeps your circulation smooth. If you're looking for one change that can dramatically improve your heart health, quitting smoking is it. Next comes something many people underestimate: sleep. Getting less than 6 hours of sleep a night has been repeatedly shown to increase your risk of high blood pressure. Your body needs that downtime to recover, regulate stress hormones, and keep your heart in rhythm. But here's the tricky part. Some people get a full night's sleep and still wake up exhausted. If that's you and your partner says you snore loudly, gasp, or stop breathing during the night, you might have sleep apnea, a condition where your breathing repeatedly pauses while you sleep, and it is one of the hidden causes of stubborn, hard-to-treat hypertension. Now, let's talk about something we all experience: stress. We know stress affects the body. When you're anxious or overwhelmed, your blood pressure temporarily spikes. That's normal. It's your body's way of preparing to respond to a threat. The issue comes with chronic stress, when that state never really turns off. The link between long-term stress and consistently high blood pressure is complex, but one thing is clear: how we cope with stress plays a huge role. If stress makes you overeat, drink, smoke, or lose sleep, your blood pressure will inevitably rise. So learning to manage stress through mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, or even just spending more time in nature is essential. And here's an interesting lighter note. Studies have found that people who own pets, especially dogs, often have lower blood pressure. One small study even suggested that adopting a pet lowered blood pressure more effectively than some standard medications. So yes, spending time with your furry friend isn't just comforting, it's genuinely good for your heart. Alright, so let's say you've made these changes. You're eating better, moving more, sleeping enough, managing stress. Your blood pressure is improving. But how low should you aim for? That question was answered by a major study called the SPRINT trial. Researchers compared 2 target blood pressure levels in adults with high blood pressure who were at higher risk of heart disease. One group aiming for 140 and another aiming for 120. The results were remarkable. Those who reached the lower target had 25% fewer heart attacks and strokes, and their risk of death dropped by 27%. Now, the lower target did come with some side effects, things like dizziness and mild kidney strain, but overall, it was a major win. Because of studies like this, many medical organizations have now lowered the official threshold for diagnosing hypertension from 140/90 to 130/80. Now, I know that's a lot of information, but the goal isn't to overwhelm you. You don't need to change everything at once. The key is sustainability. Start small. Make one healthy change at a time. Over the months, those small steps add up to something life-changing, because small, consistent actions compound into lifelong protection.